What's poppin', everyone? It's your boy Venomous Stare, the Todd Heap of Starcraft 2. This time I have a very high level Zerg versus Terran between two top tier Korean pro gamers on the map Habitation Station. Now there are multiple reasons for why I think this game is worth watching, so I'm going to go into those right now. First of all, we have Maru in the top right, formerly of Prime. I think he's on Jin Air Green Wings now. And if you don't know who Maru is, basically he was supposed to be the successor to Marine King Prime. He was on Prime for a long time, and he played a very similar style to Marine King, where he would just brutalize people with pure Marine micro and just do unprecedented things with the Marine that other people couldn't do. Now, in terms of Maru versus MKP, Marine King, the guy who he was supposedly succeeding, Maru is way better. Marine King is kind of this cheesy guy who does a lot of high-risk builds and makes it look pretty because of how good his micro is. Maru is more fundamentally sound than Marine King. He scouts better. He can actually play mech really well. When did you ever see Marine King Prime play mech? And he would pretty much just play pure bio to a ridiculous extent, especially if you watch the games earlier in his career. Maru replays are rare, so whenever I get my hands on them, I like to cast them, because Maru is one of these rare people who can just take games over completely with his micro and do things that shouldn't be possible. I would say that Maru belongs in an elite class along with TY and Beyond for the best Terran players. I think top three Terran players in the world, because Korean Terran players are really on another level. I think that Terran is the race where there's the biggest discrepancy between foreigner and Korean. As you see, Maru is going to peek around here and look for a third base. And the reason for this, I think you could speculate that might be a topic for another video. As you see, Solar, beautiful, 6-lings already out. He knew the Reaper was coming. This is standard stuff. The Queen's going to come out, and I really doubt Solar will lose anything. But just to talk about the best players we've seen from foreigners and Koreans, and why I'd say that there's not as many good foreign Terrans. If you look at who are the best foreign Terrans, let's name some names. And I'm talking about all time, not like the past year. Some people seem to think that only like the past 2 months is the relevant time period to talk about, but beautiful, beautiful extractor micro there to not lose a drone. And if we look in the base of Maru, he's producing Marines off of a reactor. He's expanded, and I anticipate he'll go into Hellions here. Starport on the way for Maru. There's a very good Liberator spot right up here where you can obnoxiously siege your Zerg opponent. Also, Liberators are good up here, but we'll see what's happening. Let me talk about Solar a bit. This is a Korean Zerg who has made it far in GSL and is one of those Korean players who, as we see, these Reaper might get caught. Beautiful micro there for Maru to jump it up one of the mini cliffs of Habitation Station. Solar is one of the Korean players who tries to connect with the foreigner community. I know that he's been involved with the Root guys, a great North American clan with lots of good players, specifically Cats, the leader, El Capitan, Peruvian Terror. For Maru here, we see a stim pack timing coming out with the double medevac. I was actually wrong about Hellions. I'll be honest, I didn't see this barracks up here. I just saw what was happening at the ramp. And to be honest, if the Zerg player had ran up here, that's what he probably would have thought too. But actually, we're going to see stim pack timeout with both of these medevacs coming out. Maru will load them with these Marines, and then the stim will time out and finish right about at the time when Maru wants to drop. This is a very powerful build. Usually we see Zerg players make a lot of extra queens to try to defend this. Solar very intelligently has started spreading creep out to his main. Zerg players on Habitation Station, you have to build this creep tumor. Terran will almost always drop you up here at some point. You have to have creep to deal with it. Maru intelligently is not going to do what the predictable thing is, because look at all these overlords that would have seen exactly what was coming. He's going to run over here, but Solar's in beautiful position. Marauding queens here are going to stop this, and Despite Maru's phenomenal micro, this is really going to get stomped out as Maru almost loses a medevac and loses half of his units. But Maru is not the kind of guy to give up. He's the kind of guy to constantly be in your face for the entire game and never let up. Great player, this guy. Love to watch him. He's going to even run the weak medevac home. He plays with the same aggressive tenacity as Marine King, but not really with the same stubborn idiocy that plague Marine King sometimes. Maru really has a better head on his shoulders than Marine King, who seemingly would just kind of do random shit sometimes. Speed Overlord is going to get massacred here, and thankfully for us, Maru is going to go into Bio, which is, in my opinion, the more exciting unit composition to watch as opposed to Mech. Notice how Solar is already starting to get creep spreaded down here. This is something that is rare and something that we see especially foreigners not do, is start to spread creep in every single direction, even going down here. And it's not just a foreigner versus Korean thing, as you see a mine shot will try to kill a queen but will fail. But this is something that top tier Korean pro gamers will do constantly, which is do this obnoxious creep spread in every single direction, and it will be unrelenting, and it's something that as a Zerg you should aim to do. Is look at this, Solar's going to take a relatively early fourth. Yes, he makes all these queens. It's good for holding off medevac based aggression, any sort of air based aggression because of all that air range. As we see Maru, not the type of guy to attack just one location. Beautiful play. Notice Solar even had a spore up here, but because of this creep spread he's not going to get caught off guard. Beautiful play, and the 1-1 upgrades are going to allow him to not get blown out of the water. Liberator up top, lots of multitasking going on here. Beautiful game. This is what I like to see, TVZ, where the observer has trouble keeping up. So Solar has all these queens. These are wonderful for defending because they can replenish creep spread. As we see a wonderful spore reposition. I love to see this. Two excellent players constantly doing the right thing. Look at this, Solar defending perfectly, but Maru defending his own drop very well too with crisp micro. And Maru is going to aggress but not lose any unnecessary units. So two players playing exceptionally well, as we saw the spore get moved 3 times in the span of 30 seconds. Maru is going to continue to harass with this one weak unit. Like a good annoying Terran, he knows how to make the good use out of every single one of his units despite how low they get on HP. And Maru intelligently shifted a move command there, because you don't need to sit there and babysit your units over and over. He just needed to shift one move command up here, have it up in that corner safely. If you're a newbie Terran player, one of the best. Notice Maru's doing all this multi-prong drop harass. He's not babysitting all of these units constantly, you silly noobs. He's using shift to do multiple things at once. So he's going to get a nice little spread of Widow Mines at the base of the ramp, and this is going to be difficult for the Zerg to deal with, but he's going to try to flank around, takes a pretty filthy hit there, and suddenly the Zerg player lost a lot of mines. But this is the pro of going so many queens, as it's hard for Maru to do anything, because these queens have so much health and so much energy for transfuse. And look at this, Maru's going to be aggressive, and Solar can just hold it off with transfuse and then sing his Ling Bane forward. So Maru is constantly in Solar's face. What an incredible game this has been. 2-2 on the way for both players. Solar will get 2-2 first, and this is nice for the Zerg, because when you play this Ling Bane style, you really have to have an upgrade advantage to crush the Terran army, because if you're even or behind in upgrades, it can get brutal quickly. Solar's micro has been very good so far, and has been quintessential in him dealing with Maru, but suddenly we see a small edge there as a base does die. The benefits of multi-pronged drop harass, but we see a drop of Solar's own, as this game has been absolutely off the chain. One of the best TVZs I've seen in a hot minute. Solar's Spire is on the way. It is a bit delayed. He went for all those queens, all those lings, and all those bands. Of course, he had to do that to keep up with the furious Maru, who, as we see, has made some depots out here in typical Maru fashion. He's not one to forget SimCity. And of course, this makes it hard for Zerg if he just does an A move. It screws up the unit AI. Lots of Banes here for Solar. These Widow Mines could spell trouble for our Zerg friend Solar. Boom! Half of his Banes go down. My lord! A massacre. And suddenly he's forced to make more. And the plight of the Zerg, look at this. All the way down main from 4th. Solar has a lot of running to go and do back and forth. He might try a Bane drop, but Maru is making wonderful use of this high ground, berating Solar from this high ground, and at any point Solar has to be worried about a little bit of drop play up top, because this is a nightmare. Solar has to go through a minefield. God knows how much Maru has up here. Solar doesn't have an Overlord up here. This is a nightmare. And Maru can poke and prod even though Solar has Queens. He does lose a medevac there. And suddenly Maru had to deal with a little bit of a Baneling drop. But if we go to units lost, I almost restarted the game. That would have been horrific. Notice that Solar has constantly been doing drops. He tried a Ling drop earlier and we saw the tail end of that Bane drop. Didn't quite work out because of Maru's excellent multitask. But we see once again, oh, obnoxious high ground. 1-2, buckle my shoe. 17 kills. Maru's a monster. And he's going to drop even more, but here comes Solar. Notice Maru walled in with his eBay's intelligent move, and he's made his depots out here at his 3rd. I can't stress this enough. Don't be a moron and just make mass depots in your main. Make depots out where the Zerg will be interfered with. Concussion grenade, perhaps a bit late, but this is what Maru really had to worry about, is a big drop. And 3 Liberators, not going to kill Overlords. No, these Liberators are going to be used to siege the main, and Solar's in a huge, huge precarious situation, I'll say. His macro hatch might be the first thing to fall after the Queen. Maru is pressuring a bit forward here, but these Liberators are in a somewhat defensive location. This is indicative. Oh, we see a Ling counterattack. Maru saved most of his SCVs, and this means that Maru can attack and pull back into these Liberators. He's not going to commit to a huge full attack. This is indicative of me. He is of a mind to just pull back with medevacs and escape with libs. If he were to try to seize the ramp, that would show to me he wants to commit, and he kites back. He thinks about picking up, but doesn't. Maru, great macro and micro, but that's micro, focusing down those Banes, and suddenly we saw, while this incredible action up top was going down, Maru, of course, sniped that bottom base. All he needed was a handful of Marines from a drop, and Maru has a PF down on this 4th. And like I said in the early game, he likes to be in the face of his opponent, and a Widow Mine goes off on Corruptors. He decides, okay, I'll just fly away, but the damage has been done. That critical 4th base is dead. Solar displayed excellent micro and macro for like 12 straight minutes, but that's the thing about Terran drops and people as good as Maru. Eventually, you will make a little mistake because Terran can pick you apart. They can really decide what happens. Maru took advantage of this high ground. Solar always had to be worried about a drop on the high ground, and suddenly Maru has Liberators on this choke point of this little ramp. Solar has Corruptors and Queens, but Maru can drop up the main whenever he attacks the bottom. This is textbook ZBT Terran players. Get your notebook out because it doesn't get any better than this. Maru, formerly of Prime, just eviscerates Solar, and my goodness, Solar played well. You can't miss the game 2 and potentially 3. This is a best of 3, guys. You can't miss it. Can't be done. Did you see that game? You can't miss the second one. You have to subscribe. It's the only way you're not going to miss it. Subscribe for more.